How to talk to anyone. Little tricks for big success in relationships. When was the last time you said something out of turn? Do you retreat in social or professional situations? How to talk to anyone has a wealth of psychological advice on how to communicate effectively. We cover many types of communication, both verbal and nonverbal, for almost every possible context. Your approach should adapt depending on who you are talking to and the specific context. So, how to talk to anyone will give you tips to become a master communicator. As a master communicator, you can communicate with others regardless of the environment. Use your smile and eye contact to make a first impression. Your appearance and movements account for 80% of first impressions. In fact, studies show that emotional responses occur in our brains before we have time to register a reaction to someone. So use Leil Lowndes' tips to intrigue people with your first impression. Lowndes advises not to rush into smiling. When interacting with someone, start by looking at their face for a second and then pause. This break will allow you to immerse yourself in his personality. Then, you should put a big, warm smile on your face. Let this flow through by smiling with your eyes. While smiling brightly, maintain eye contact to gain the respect of others. More specifically, this ability is associated with intelligence and abstract thinking. Lowndes' second technique relies on the importance of maintaining eye contact. She describes using a fixed gaze. This means that you should not break eye contact even after the other person has finished speaking. When you do decide to break eye contact, do it slowly and reluctantly. This approach lets the other person know that you understand the conversation and that you respect them. When looking for romance, use what Lowndes calls epoxy eyes. If you're interested in someone, maintain deep eye contact with them even when they're not the one talking. If he's interested in you, maintaining eye contact while he's listening to you can be a powerful aphrodisiac. In addition to instilling feelings of respect and affection, maintaining strong eye contact also makes you seem like an intelligent, abstract thinker. Don't worry too much about what you say, but try to match the mood of your audience. The simplest general approach to take is to make sure your speech puts people at ease. This will help you appear passionate. As long as your speech puts your audience at ease, you can focus more on the tone of what you say. 80% of your communication has nothing to do with your choice of words. When introducing people, always bring up an interesting point to get the conversation going. Starting a conversation without any topic or point of interest can lead to an uncomfortable situation. A word detective can determine a speaker's favorite topics by listening to every word spoken. You will become more interesting in the minds of others if you learn to keep their attention on them. Say anything as long as it is not complaining, rude, or disappointing. How to start a conversation always wear or carry something a little out of the ordinary. Having these items will immediately draw the people's attention to you. Try to start a conversation by commenting on what other people are wearing. Asking people you know to introduce you to others can be an instant icebreaker. It's not rude to eavesdrop on a group. This shows curiosity. Don't be afraid to eavesdrop on other people's conversations and say things like, "Sorry, I couldn't help but eavesdrop." If someone asks you where you're from, avoid giving them a one-word answer. Take the opportunity to describe interesting aspects of your life. Likewise, avoid giving a one-word answer when someone asks you what you do for a living. Spice up your answer with interesting information about your position, company, or professional background. Don't ask "What do you do?" Instead of asking "What do you do?" ask others how they spend most of their time. If asked what you do, avoid repeating the same stories about your personal life in conversations. Create a bank of real stories that you can think of. Make others feel special. A common mistake is to immediately agree with others. Instead of saying me too, wait and listen. The other person will be more influenced by what you say if you wait until you agree. Whenever possible, start your sentences with the word you. This grabs the listener's attention. If you are meeting a group of people, greet each person with a special smile instead of smiling at the whole group. Handle difficult conversations by repeating yourself. Never joke at someone else's expense. You may get a few easy laughs in the short term, but in the long run you will pay for the joke. Always consider your audience before launching into a joke. Be sure to convey any news to them with the appropriate emotion. Whenever someone continues to ask you about an unwelcome topic, repeat your original response. Use the same words in the same tone. Hearing them again will often help calm them down. Tell celebrities how their work has influenced you. When talking to celebrities, be careful how you approach them. Instead of praising their work, express how their work has influenced you and what lessons you have learned from it. Avoid highlighting past accomplishments and focus on more recent events to show that you are up to date and not just overwhelmed. This can lead to a more meaningful conversation and show that you're genuinely interested in their work. Show that you understand the other person's passions. Lowndes describes the language of other professions as nonsense. Learn the bare minimum about a variety of topics so that you sound like an insider. The most effective way to do this is to find an insider to teach you some of the lingo. In addition to learning some of the technical language, identify the hot issues in a particular field. Every field has hot concerns that only experts know about. Learn more about these hot topics and you'll be a lot more interesting. Read industry magazines you come across to stay up to date on the latest news. Make others feel special. A common mistake is to immediately agree with others. Instead of saying me too, wait and listen. The other person will be more influenced by what you say if you wait until you agree. Whenever possible, start your sentences with the word you. This grabs the listener's attention. If you are meeting a group of people, greet each person with a special smile instead of smiling at the whole group. Handle difficult conversations by repeating yourself. Never joke at someone else's expense. You may get a few easy laughs in the short term, but in the long run you will pay for the joke. Always consider your audience before launching into a joke. Be sure to convey any news to them with the appropriate emotion. Whenever someone continues to ask you about an unwelcome topic, repeat your original response. Use the same words in the same tone. Hearing them again will often help calm them down. Tell celebrities how their work has influenced you. When talking to celebrities, be careful how you approach them. Instead of praising their work, express how their work has influenced you and what lessons you have learned from it. Avoid highlighting past accomplishments and focus on more recent events to show that you are up to date and not just overwhelmed. This can lead to a more meaningful conversation and show that you're genuinely interested in their work. Show that you understand the other person's passions. Lowndes describes the language of other professions as nonsense. Learn the bare minimum about a variety of topics so that you sound like an insider. The most effective way to do this is to find an insider to teach you some of the lingo. In addition to learning some of the technical language, identify the hot issues in a particular field. Every field has hot concerns that only experts know about. Learn more about these hot topics and you'll be a lot more interesting. Read industry magazines you come across to stay up to date on the latest news. Say we. Using we early on will strengthen your bond. When you meet a stranger, you want to feel less like a stranger. Look for a special moment you shared when you first met. The author calls this instant history. Bring a light-hearted atmosphere to the conversation. Compliment people when they're not even talking. If they find out you complimented them behind their back, it means more than flattery to their face. Be the bearer of good news. So if someone compliments someone else, try to be the one to let the person you compliment know. Include a few comments in your conversation that assume something positive about the person you're talking to. You should also try being a quiet complimenter. Instead of saying all your compliments out loud, hide them in the middle of the sentence. Quiet compliments are often perceived as more sincere. Using compliments and verbal phrases, the alternative to an accidental compliment, is a killer compliment. Use them sparingly because they can be very powerful. Identify a specific quality, then look the person in the eye, say their name, and deliver the compliment. Other tips for delivering an effective killer compliment: do it in private. Make your great compliment believable. Give only one strong compliment every 6 months. To keep your loved ones close, use gentle verbal expressions. They will make them feel appreciated. Let the compliments echo back to the person giving them. You don't have to compliment too much, but you can say things like "you're so kind." Whenever someone shines a little sunshine into your life in the form of a compliment or a caring question, respond to the person who gave it to you. You take people's breath away when you share the deepest image of themselves with a compliment. How to sound good on the phone. To sound good on the phone, replace your usual gestures with sounds. Your smiles, nods, and hand movements should be evident in your voice. Think of yourself as the star of a radio soap opera. People get excited when they hear their own name. Use it more often on the phone than in person to get their attention. The best way to show that you are genuinely happy that someone is calling you is to answer in a professional tone. Once you know who it is, let the joy flow into your voice. This shows that you are genuinely happy that someone is calling you. How to get what you want on the phone. When calling someone higher up than you or a VIP, you may encounter a sneaky screen where the assistant answers and asks for your name. Depending on your reputation, he will either connect you to the person you want to speak to or make an excuse as to why he is not available. This spoofing will still keep the caller happy even if it is a lie. When calling a VIP doorman, use gender pronouns rather than the VIP's name. If you ask the doorman, "Is she there?" this suggests that you are closer to the VIP than you are. Always greet the person who answers the phone when calling someone's home. Don't just ask to speak to the person you called, get to know the person who answered. The same idea applies when calling someone's office. Make friends with the secretary and you'll have an easier time getting to the bigger issues. Some salespeople ask if this is a good time for a prospect. If the prospect says, "Not really, but tell me anyway," never proceed. Lowndes calls this a yellow light. Try to sell your idea to someone only when they give you the green light. When you're on the phone, pay attention to the other person's background noise. For example, if you hear their doorbell ring, stop mid-sentence. Point out that you noticed the noise and ask if they should pay attention to it. Create an impactful voice message. The best way to impress others with your outgoing voice message is to edit it daily. Create daily voice messages that are authentic, concise, professional, and friendly. Any imperfections are acceptable because they show that you are real. Imagine that the sound at the top of your voicemail is a call for you to come on stage for an audition. A voice message gives you about 10 seconds to convince the other person. How to perform well at a party. You can't fully participate in a conversation if you're eating at the same time. Likewise, your audience will pay less attention to you if you distract them with food. Study the scene at gatherings to better understand how to create positive conversations. Make every social interaction a rehearsal for meeting people who could change your life. Make the most of favors and nonsense. If a friend agrees to help you, let them bask in the glory of being a good person. When you help someone, wait a moment before asking them to repay you. Effective communicators understand that it is best to turn a blind eye to their friends' mistakes. Whenever someone's story is interrupted, refocus on the story after the interruption. Avoid your own mistakes in the form of confrontations at parties. Even when you are with your worst enemy, Save your arguments for another setting. Summary and final review. How to Talk to Anyone offers dozens of concise tips for improving your ability to talk to others. The lesson from this book is that there are universal skills that can be applied to almost any situation. There are also specific tips for charming, attracting potential customers, and standing out in a group. By learning these tips, you can become a more effective communicator and excel in any conversation. Let's review the key lessons in How to Talk to Anyone. If you become a master of communication, you can talk to anyone, no matter who they are or their environment. Make others feel special by showing that you're listening, maintaining eye contact, and complimenting them. When talking on the phone, use your tone wisely instead of your visual gestures. Want to talk to someone but don't know how? Comment and let us know if you've used any of Leil Lowndes' tips in your work or social life. Thanks for watching. If you found these tips from How to Talk to Anyone useful, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like button to show your support. And for more insights and summaries that will level up your communication and personal growth skills, hit subscribe and ring the bell icon. That way, you won't miss any new videos. Join our community of lifelong learners. Let's grow.